Jack McKenney from the National Sports Media Association here. And today I'm joined by Brendan McGair, 2021 Rhode Island co-Sportswriter of the Year. Mr. McGair, thank you for coming on today. Tell us a little bit about what this award means to you.
Well, thanks for having me on. First of all, it's a great honor because it means you're recognized by your peers, within your state. And, I like to think that we have a little fraternity among both the beat writers and the TV personalities. And it's great to be, honored by them because, you notice their work, they notice your work, and it's quite the honor, to say the very least.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you got into this profession, where the inspiration came from, and how you work towards it.
Just reading newspapers growing up, and I thought about it more when I went to college and what did I want to do post-college. And I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed sports. And, I think a lot of us who get into this business realize our athletic limitations come sooner rather than later. And one thing that I made sure to do was get involved on campus and write for the student newspaper. I did that for my junior and senior year. And I think that opened up the doors for what I'm able to do right now.
And were there any motivators? Were there any people in your life who really inspired you or helped you along the way, in this profession?
Honestly, I would like to say my mother. She really, has helped me fine tune my craft. She's been my biggest supporter through everything, and great to bounce ideas off of her. I without hesitation, I got to say my mother is probably my biggest influence in terms of my writing ability.
And talk a little bit about your work recently. Obviously, before you said you worked for the Paw Sox, Pawtucket Red Sox, and then you've been covering high school sports. What are some memories, in terms of stories that you've written, and how have you enjoyed that over the years?
Well, covering college basketball, like to think that Rhode Island has a very good fan base when it comes to college basketball. Has a strong pulse on the matter. We have 4 Division I men's basketball teams, and we have rising women's teams as well. So there's a lot of interest in that department. And, just coming off covering Providence College, with the Sweet 16 run and winning their first ever Big East regular season championship, interest was very strong around that program, as well as Bryant University. They captured their first NEC regular season title, postseason title, and made their first appearance in the Big Dance as a Division I program. So those are memories that kind of stick with me, at least from a recent standpoint.
And tell us a little bit about what it was, like you said, a little more insight in covering this Providence team, right? I mean, they were really, really good this year. They were also a little bit, a little bit discounted coming into the tournament. A lot of people thought they were going to get upset by South Dakota State. Instead, they had a really good tournament run and defied a lot of people. What was it like covering that team?
It was great to see them have the validation because, they had a lot of outside noise. The Ken Palm metrics said they were among the most lucky teams in the country. I like to think of this PC group from this past season as a bunch of assassins. They just knew how to get the job done when it mattered most. Game on the line, 3 minutes to go. They always, 9 times out of 10, they always seem to make the correct play.
And tell me a little bit about your work in the future. What are you looking forward to doing? And how does this award, motivate you to keep doing what you're doing?
Well, I like to think I have a good grasp on social media and also too on the the print side. I'm trying to expand more in terms of videos and podcasts. I went out to Buffalo for the NCAA tournament and also Chicago when the Friars made to the Sweet 16 against Kansas and did a couple of videos there. That's one area I'm trying to delve into more as we move ahead in this ever challenging profession.
Yeah, podcasts are certainly, a wonderful thing, especially to connect with like young kids like me. I know everyone loves listening to podcasts, because reading articles isn't for everyone. So that sounds great. But let's shift the focus to young professionals like me. What are some advice that you would give to me or young people like me who want to get into this really competitive profession?
I would like to think that the best advice I could give is to maybe start small. And I would like, at the high school level, that's one thing I really was stressed upon when I first broke in this business. Everyone wants to cover the Red Sox, the Celtics, the Bruins, the Patriots, and, high-end college sports. That all that stuff is great. and it will lead to open doors for potential jobs down the road. However, if you want to find your true voice, do so at the high school level, and even maybe in the summertime covering Little League, because you'll be able to, really focus on your craft. You get to know people in the community, and that can open the door potentially to better stories down the line, because maybe you see a young player, playing high school baseball. Next thing you know, he's in the major leagues or whatever. And you can kind of think to yourself, I remember him when he was playing, high school baseball on a rainy April afternoon.
And talk a little bit about some of those players, right? Because, you've covered some minor league teams, right? Some college teams. Surely some of those guys have gone off onto bigger stages, whether it's Bogarts, tell us about one of those players who's gone off really into the next level.
Well, covering the Pawtucket Red Sox for as long as I did, I got to see Xander Bogaerts, like you mentioned, and then Mookie Betts. I always like to tell the story of Mookie. The Paw Sox manager at the time, Kevin Bowles, said that he was here, meaning at McCoy Stadium in Pawtucket, between haircuts. And what that means is he wasn't here for very long. It's like he got in here for a month, and he was up in the big leagues. So it's a changing landscape. It was a changing landscape at the end in terms of how minor leaguers, use AAA baseball. They weren't here for very long because, I was told repeatedly that once you get to AAA, all bets are off in terms of getting up to the big leagues. But I was fortunate at the end, to cover, great players like Xander Bogaerts. I saw, Mookie Betts. Rafael Devers was here for a week and he came back for a rehab assignment in 2018. And also, too, when I first started, Clay Buchholz, he threw a no-hitter his first year in the major leagues, but then he struggled and he had to kind of pick himself back up. And I remember that 2009 season, specifically when the Red Sox signed aging veterans like John Smoltz, who is obviously a Hall of Famer, and Brad Penny, and they had Clay Buchholz, who was pitching lights out in Pawtucket, and how it was kind of like frustrating for him because he believed, and rightfully so, that he should be up in the major leagues. Just watching those kind of stories were, some of the few takeaways that I have from covering the Paw Sox for as long as I did.
Yeah, I'm sure it was so special to see Bogarts, Devers, those guys in the minors. I remember being a Red Sox fan. The first time I went to Fenway Park, I went into one of the stores and they had a minor league Paw Sox card of Xander Bogaerts, and everyone just kept saying, like, he's going to be great one day. Like, he's our best prospect. He's going to be so good. So it must be just so cool to see him playing on that stage now, for the Red Sox, being the star shortstop.
And, just going up to Fenway Park the few years after he broke in, and, he would remember me, go up to the locker room and maybe chat a little bit. So that's the kind of relationship that you build with a player at the AAA level before they get up to Boston. And all of a sudden the media attention is, unbelievable in terms of the outlets.
Yeah, that sounds so cool. And it's a reason why I want to get into this profession. Mr. McGair, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it. And congratulations on your award.